This is Felix, your conference minister. It is an honor and a pleasure to be before you this day as Central Association has their fall meeting. Janie Ito had invited me to be with you today to talk a little bit about the polity and how the UCC works and what the role of the conference is. And I have to apologize. As you can see, I'm not there live, but thanks to the wonderful electronic resources we have, I am able to come to you via video. So to get started, first of all, I would like to talk in general about the United Church of Christ. You know, we have four main settings in the United Church of Christ. We call them settings, not levels, because we believe that all the settings are equal. We have our national setting, conference setting, association setting, and the local church setting. In a regular structure, the pyramid will start with a national setting and end up with a local congregational setting. However, the United Church of Christ structure is an inverted pyramid in which the congregational have the final say and the power in the denomination. Each congregation is autonomous, and we are all united through what we call the covenant. A covenant is a mutual relationship with one another. A covenant is the glue that holds the United Church of Christ together. A covenant says that we are all different yet united, that we look for commonalities to work together. And as one body, as one diverse community, we seek to serve Jesus Christ in the best way we can. That's why when you see one UCC church, as a good friend of mine used to say, you have seen one UCC church. The same applies with to associations and conferences. Each association is different. In this conference, we have 4 associations: Northern, Central, Southern, and Eastern. Each association is autonomous, and again, the same applies. It's our covenant that holds us together. There are 38 conferences in the United Church of Christ. Each one of them is different. So, as you can see, the diversity of the UCC runs throughout our core, and it is again the covenant piece that holds us together. Some of our challenges and some of the challenges that I face sometimes is that we rely more on our autonomy than on our covenant. And from my perspective, the covenant should be always overriding autonomy, because we voluntarily have decided that we want to connect with one another in community. Having said that, the role of the association, for example, is authorization of ministry. That's their main role. That's your main role. You are in charge, according to the UCC bylaws and constitution, of granting or removing standing of clergy and churches. Most of our associations do an outstanding job in the authorization of ministers. However, it's the authorization and care of local congregations that we tend to forget. This is a responsibility of the association. Anything has to do with welcoming congregations, supporting congregations, mentoring congregations. That's a function of the association in the United Church of Christ. The association is the only body that has authority to do this in the UCC. So you see, you have a big job before you. In addition to that, you are in charge of working with members in discernment, ministers coming from other denominations, as well as ministers who have UCC standing. In the United Church of Christ, we have 3 different types of authorizations currently. We have ordained ministry, licensed ministry, and commissioned ministry. These are not classes or levels. They are, again, equally authorized ministers. They have different functions. An ordained minister at this point in time have usually a master's degree in divinity or equivalent, although that's changing as we are looking for different ways to ordain ministers through our multiple path for ordination. A licensed minister is a pastor who hasn't been to seminary and is working at a local church setting. Other denominations call this lay pastors. That authorization is only for the local setting, and it needs to be renewed every year. Commission ministry is somebody who at the local church has a specific function. For example, a minister of music could be a commission minister. A youth minister could be a commission minister. A deacon who visits the sick could be commissioned. And as I said, all three types of authorizations are equally important. The difference between commissioned ministry and the other two is that in the UCC, a commissioned minister is not authorized to do the sacraments. And in the UCC, we have two sacraments, marriage and Holy Communion. So those are the two, that's the difference between commission ministry and the other two ministries in the UCC. Once again, to summarize, the role of the associations is authorization of ministry and oversight of ministry of all our churches and all our authorized ministers. The role of the conference, this gets more sticky, and this is where there's more confusion. Clyde Steckel, a great church UCC church leader, wrote an amazing article describing the challenges and the roles from his perspective of conference ministry. So I'm going to kind of highlight some of the things that Clyde said that I agree with. Clyde says that one of the essential conference functions is that of annual gatherings. This is the time when we come together as a community, as a large community. This is a time where we get inspired by amazing preaching and great worship, where we can participate in educational opportunities that then we can take back to our churches. And this is really a celebration of our covenant as a geographical area. So the annual gathering is a function of the conference setting, and that's how we do. And for what I hear, we do it very well in this conference, and I'm very proud of that. Clyde also says that pastoral care of churches and church leaders is a function of conference ministry, being the pastor of pastors. He also says that he prefers the word oversight, but pastoral oversight, but that word doesn't land too well in the UCC because it has connotations of authority. So the conference minister is a pastor to the pastor. The challenge in that area is when there is an ethical review. The conference minister is part of the team that investigates the allegations and cannot act as a pastor. Having said that, in a recent discussion with the Southern Association, we were talking about the fact that when there's an ethics review, the manual of ministry requires that the pastor in review be assigned somebody to walk with him or her throughout the process, because we recognize the conference minister cannot provide that role. But in general, and under most circumstances, caring for pastors, helping with and looking at healthy boundaries and conduct, helping churches in conflict. We do that a lot in this conference, unfortunately. helping pastors and their families when there's a personal crisis, helping churches how to live their covenant connections with the wider church, and also helping the churches to be good stewards of the resources that they have. That's a function of the conference setting. That's a segue to one piece that we don't like to talk too much, and that's mission and money. The conference is a setting where we support the wider church. This is where we bring into perspective how your local church is affecting the world and the great things that you, as a local church, is doing around the world in missions. Many churches don't know that we have missionaries all over the world that your OCWMs are funding. So, and we understand that that's a connection that we haven't exploited fully, that we need to start looking at connecting our missionaries with the local church, because these are your missionaries. You're supporting them. They are working on your behalf. And the conference is the one that has that wider perspective and what's happening around the world. We understand that youth development, youth camps, and youth ministries are very important, and that's a mission and a essential function of a conference setting. With or without camps, it is a priority of this conference to maintain a healthy youth ministry. Those are the leaders of the present and the future. So we need to continue supporting those as a basic conference ministry in whichever form they may come. And I, as conference minister, am fully committed to youth ministries. I am a result of a youth camp. That's where I received my first call into ministry. That's where I was developed as a leader. So for me, youth ministry is very important. One of the challenges that we have is sometimes we equate youth ministry with camp, and in our case with Pilgrim Pines. Pilgrim Pines, thank God, is moving in the right direction. We don't know what the future will hold. However, I would like to express that my commitment is to youth ministries and to continue with Pilgrim Pines as long as we can. If at some point in our history we cannot support financially the camp, we will continue our support of youth ministries in this conference because they're essential to who we are as a conference. Another essential function of conference ministry is evangelism and new church development. We equip churches with tools for evangelism. We, in this conference, we have started various new churches. We are currently working with one new church start and one kind of outside the box on the internet church that we are supporting as conference. So new church development, helping churches to understand how to do church. Part of our essential conference ministry is to sit down with churches and help them through the life cycle, understand where they are and where they need to be. Working with churches who are growing into expanding their ministry, working with churches that are dying or declining, to understand what the future may hold for them and how to effectively do ministry into the future. So that's part of the essential conference ministry, to work with the churches into evangelism, church development, revitalization, and sometimes closure. Helping churches to understand that every church has a life cycle, and sometimes dying is just the beginning to a new resurrection, and helping churches in doing that. Communications is very important. In our conversations around the conference, we have discovered that the word is not getting to the pew. Although there's a lot of communications that come from the wider setting of the conference. we, as a conference setting, provide the perspectives around the conference, and we have e-news and connecting voices and various other electronic connections that we send out regularly. We need to do a better job, and we recognize that as staff in the conference. We need to do a better job and finding the way to make sure that the person in the pew gets those communications. Because there's a lot of great resources, there's a lot of great information, there's a lot of great connections among churches, what's happening around churches, and in the wider church. So communications, helping us connecting with one another and living into the covenant that we have established is one of the functions of our conference setting. Another, a seventh function of the conference setting is provide legal and financial support and advice to the churches. We have the experts at this setting. We have the connections with our national and conference attorney. We have the connections with experts in the financial field. And it's our role to help you manage and understand the business side of a nonprofit organization in Southern California and Nevada. So we, if we don't have the expertise in-house, we know where to go and look for it. So you can do your job in a better way. And that can happen at this setting. We also are the ones who, this setting is the one that receives properties when churches close. And those properties are used and recycled for ministry. Conversation ensued recently at one of our associations about what happens with the money that we receive from properties we sold. And one of the donors of one of the properties said that the intention of the money given to the conference to be spent in ministry. So they don't want us to hoard it and keep it forever, but to use it for ministry. And so part of our role is to receive those properties, make sure that everything is legally done, and then use the proceeds to continue ministry in our conference. Part of our conference covenant in that regard is also to support our church's wider mission at our national level. I mentioned that briefly in the beginning of this conversation. We support our national setting so they can do their ministry and represent the UCC at the national and international levels. So those are basically the functions of the conference setting. As we have been talking, we are analyzing and looking at what conference ministry will look like in the next few years. We want to get ahead of the curve. I keep emphasizing, you have heard that there are some financial challenges in this setting. The conference is not broke. We have money. We have money to do business. We just need to be good stewards, because if we are not good stewards, we'll run out of money in 4 years. But for now, we have plenty of money. We continue to do our work, and we want to continue supporting the associations and the local churches in the ministry we do. At the same time, we need to be proactive in trying to redefine and redesign conference ministry, so we can be effective stewards of those resources that have been given to us and that you so generously have given to us. Finally, I want to talk a little bit more in detail about your conference setting specifically and your conference theme. One of the things that is mind-boggling to some people is that the way we do conference ministry in this conference is Keith, Levy, and I, whom we call the immediate conference team, work really as co-conference ministers. My role is to train Levy and Keith to become the next leaders at the conference of national settings of the UCC. And the only way you can do that is by letting them do it. So we work as a team. Most of the things I know, they know. There are some things that are more confidential that I keep for because I am the only one who is privy to the information. But I'll say at least 95% of everything we do together. When a situation arises or a resource is needed, we sit down, which we do every week. We look at who has the best gifts to address the issue, and then that person is deployed to address the situation. Specifically, each one of us are consultants for each one of our associations. Libby works with Central and Northern. Keith works with Southern Association, and I work with Eastern Association and Las Vegas Section N. So that's part of our specific functions, but it's not written in stone, because sometimes we cover for each other when that person is not available. Libby and I work with Search and Call, but that doesn't mean that Keith doesn't get involved in it once in a while, depending on the situation. Keith is our financial guru and personnel administrator and supervisor, but that doesn't mean that Keith doesn't get out and do some of what I do. Recently, he was deployed to work with a church that has some difficulty to work with that. All three of us work in mission and vision and missioning when the churches call us. So as you can see, it's really hard to pinpoint specific on each other. We work together as a team. I oversee the entire team and I direct the team, but we work together as one unit. Which is a great way to do it, because these are very talented individuals, and it's a great relief, especially when we have such a huge geographical conference and territory to cover. As you know, the rest of the people in the office, Virginia is our expert in everything. She knows where all the books are buried. She has been here for over 25 years, and she's amazing. And you all know Virginia better than you know any of us. Stella works with our financial side, helping us bookkeeping and helping our finances getting straight. Neil works with our youth and our youth on roundtable. We have Thea, who works with our young adult ministries. And we have Al Lopez, who is deployed as the new church start pastor of our Urban Mission Church in Pomona. So this is basically your staff working for you. We have a ton of volunteers. Our board of directors is amazing. We have an outdoors ministry team headed by Petra Maelis Stenberg, who is just incredible. So we have a lot of people working, making sure that ministry and this setting happens for you. And again, as I said over and over, our role is to support you, the association, to support you, the local church, so you can do your ministry in the best way possible. I hope this answers your general questions about what we do and how the UCC works. If you have any questions, don't hesitate in contacting me. The best way to get hold of any of us is via email. We have our beautiful phones that are connected to everything electronically in the office. So if you can send us an email, it will be great. We will answer right away. But don't hesitate in contacting me personally or any member of my staff. We are here to serve you. Thank you very much, and God bless you.